President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Joe Ajaero, who was arrested in the early hours of yesterday by the Department of State Services, was released late last night on bail at exactly 11:05 p.m. last night. Although a litany of condemnations had trailed the Labour leader's arrest over yet to be disclosed offences, as well as the invasion of the Abuja office of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, allegedly by the DSS. The NLC and the Trade Union Congress had asked the federal government to release Ajaero immediately and unconditionally, latest by midnight. The global rights group, Amnesty International, and the United Action Front of Civil Society had also condemned the arrest and detention of Ajaero by the DSS, saying President Bola Tinubu was setting a new record of impunity. Joining us now on this show as we review the arrest, detention, and release of Comrade Joe Ajaero and the invasion of Serap office is Liborous Oshoma, a lawyer and human rights activist. He is joined by Benson, Upah, Head of Information, Nigeria Labour Congress. Benson Upah will join us later, but we have Liborous Oshoma with us in the studio. Well, there's been an outreach out there about the arrests and detention and eventual release of the NLC president, who was on his way to an international trade union meeting in the United Kingdom. Before now, the police had invited him for questioning. Now, DSS claim that they had invited him and he did not honor their invitation, and he was on his way to the UK, so they picked him up. We have had stories about petitions, we have had stories about Amnesty International kicking, the United Trade Union of Civil Society groups, and all of that. Okay, the question is Joe Ajaero above the law in his position as Nigeria Labour Congress? Does he enjoy immunity? Because most people are saying, look, as NLC president, the Tinubu administration should not intimidate him. Is he above the law? Does he enjoy immunity? And second, what do you think of the invasion of the office of the Socio-Economic Accountability Project? You know, known for their usual, law cases, going to court to ask for transparency and accountability in governance. Those two issues.
Yeah, to answer that question directly, first and foremost, we agree that apart from the president, vice president, governors, and deputy governors, no other person enjoys immunity from investigation or prosecution. But that said, I will go into the Constitution briefly. But I want to quickly, please, if you permit me, to read Alhaji Lai Mohammed's statement as opposition leader under PDP. The Action Congress of Nigeria yesterday alleged that the recent deployment of police commissioners in the state was in readiness of pre-2015 clampdown on opposition. The party also warned that the fascism would never prevail over liberal democracy. That was one. Second one, Alhaji Lai Mohammed condemns the arrest of Ahmed Yerima, says it may signal clampdown on opposition. The Action Congress of Nigeria has condemned the arrest of the former governor of Zamfara State by the police for allegedly making an inciting statement on FROCN Kaduna, saying the arrest may signal an impending clampdown on opposition by an increasingly jittery federal government. Then, ACN Oshun election, security operative debunk arrests. Alhaji Lai Mohammed, National Public Secretary of the APC, has alleged that military men and officials of the DSS who arrested him and two others were apparently drunk. Mohammed Sunday Dare, media aide to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Afolabi Salisu, Deputy Chief of Staff to Governor Bukuli, were arrested by security operative in Oshun on Friday night. They have all been released. The spokesman for the APC said the Gestapo-style arrest by hooded security in Oshogbo on Friday night had no reason beyond the fact that he belonged to the opposition. So, you now wonder, these people were people, when they were in opposition, actions like this were condemned by them. Alhaji Lai Mohammed,
Can I enter a caveat? Alhaji Lai Mohammed is a yesterday man.
Yes.
He's not part of this administration.
No, when I said Alhaji Lai Mohammed, I'm getting to that.
Relevance?
I'm getting to that. Alhaji Lai Mohammed was a spokesperson for the APC. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the leader of APC. Like I mentioned, I intentionally mentioned Sunday Dare, the spokesperson for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tinubu today is the president of Nigeria. So Alhaji Lai Mohammed was acting for a party that Tinubu was a leader of. So these are people who were in opposition, who have been in government. Alhaji Lai Mohammed was minister. Today is no more a minister, but he's still a member of the party. So the actions and responsibility, the actions and inactions of the party now and before will still, whether it was issued by the Alhaji Lai Mohammed or was issued by the current public secretary of the party, it is statement by the publicity secretary of the party to which Tinubu belonged to. So actions like this had been condemned by them. And today, no, we're not saying anybody is above the law. But I also need to say this. This action by the police and DSS and the security operatives, when they are inviting you, in civilized society, when you are extending an invitation to somebody, there is need for you to even allow the person to understand what you are inviting the person for. I've not heard that Ajaero was invited by the DSS. I heard that he was invited by the police, which invitation was postponed on the request of his lawyers and his legal team. The DSS, nobody heard that the DSS had invited him. And this arrest also, according to Femi Falana, is not in any way related to the invitation by the police. So, and when you invite a suspect, there's also need for you to spell out there what you're inviting the suspect for. So if there are documents to be presented, if there are evidence in defense of those allegations, the person will be prepared to come and present those. But this idea of we're investigating a matter for which your name was mentioned conspicuously and we need you to come and put up, or we need you for interrogation.
DSS is undercover police. They are not under obligation to put their things in the public domain. And I think they've issued a statement saying that they receive petitions from even inside the NLC against Joe Ajaero. So they are not obliged to come and publish those petitions.
No, we're not talking about publishing petition. You are extending an invitation to me. You've received a petition. You're a lawyer. It's like you file a petition against me and you say, I should not see, or I shouldn't even be aware, but I should just come blindly and answer to that petition.
No, I'm saying you are speculating.
No.
There may have been prior communication.
But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is,
so you
now,
don't know, you are not sure.
I am saying, in as far as the public domain is concerned, now they are issuing a press release. So if you can issue a press release, why also we've extended invitation to him? The same way police extended invitation and said, we have invited this man for questioning. Everybody is aware. We're not talking about just Liberals Oshoma or just any person. Because of the crisis of fuel price increase, the crisis of labor, and all other crises, because of also the need to show transparency. You go the extra mile to say, because there are rights that are protected by the law. And these rights, in investigating, the Constitution also presumes that person that you have a petition against innocent. And so you presume that person innocent and give him the benefit of doubt. In giving the benefit of doubt, you extend an invitation. If you extend an invitation and the man says there was no such invitation.
I understand we have Benson Upah with us now. He's head of information with the NLC. Mr. Upah, thank you for joining us. We've been discussing the arrest of Comrade Joe Ajaero, his detention and his eventual release. What's your take? You are an insider. You probably know more.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Abati, for this privilege to explain our side of the story. As has been stated earlier, Comrade Joe Ajaero was not given any invitation. He was simply ambushed at the airport on his way to the UK to attend the conference of ITUC Global. And we consider this not only an embarrassment, but an act of lawlessness in a country that claims to practice democracy. But of course, we see this for what it is. It is a diversionary tactic to sway us away from the path of focus and concentration. You know, the government has just introduced another band of PMS pricing, and does not want us to focus on that. So it has to look for something else to do, to divert our attention. So it is part of this process that this has happened. And we consider it illegal, unlawful. Dr. Bati, you are a legal man, and you know that what they have done is not right, and we should not accept this. This is how dictatorship starts. It creeps in. People look the other way, believing that it will not come to them. But by the time it gets to them, and which prompts me, to paraphrase this poem, that when they came for the Jews, I said I was not a Jew. When they came for the teachers, I said I was not a teacher. When they came for the communists, I said I was not a communist. By the time they came for me, there was no one left to cry for me. This is the kind of situation we are slipping into. And quite amazingly, this is being practiced by those who held themselves out yesterday as promoters of democracy. They should be ashamed of themselves. These are the very guys who went into exile, doing this to innocent citizens, believing that we will be cowed, but we will never be cowed. The Nigerian spirit is in us. It is a robust spirit. Nobody is going to defeat this spirit in us. We are Nigerians, right, and we continue to do the right thing. Okay. We don't care whose ox is God. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bati.
Thank you for that beautiful quote from Martin Nimola. I think that's the author.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Mr. Upah, and thanks for joining us this morning. The first thing I'd like to ask you is this arrest in any way connected to the invitation by the police in August of this year? Because the statement that was actually released by the DSS addresses their conduct with Serap, but didn't actually address the reasons behind the detention of the president of the NLC. Can you please share with us if any light has been thrown as to why his detention, any reason given to it, and why it had to be done swiftly, especially as he was on his way to an international congress? And so this news would probably spread not just here in Nigeria, but across the world. And then I'll come back to Mr. Oshoma with regards to that question as well, the legality of that. I hear that, and just for people who are watching, yes, DSS is secret police, but is there an obligation at least to explain the reason for its detention, or can they arbitrarily pick up anybody at the airport or anywhere for reasons that cannot be revealed? I'll start with Mr. Upah.
Well, you have asked me a very lengthy question. I'm going to give you a very short answer. I think this question should be directed to the DSS. For us, as far as we are concerned, no invitation was extended to us before this arrest. And up to now, no reasonable explanation has been given. We can only speculate, as I've said earlier on, that the government has some policies it wants to unravel and does not want any opposition voice to be heard. Government has been battering us and wants to be cheered, wants us to cheer it into our own graves, okay? But we keep insisting, we are not going to be cheerleaders. We will keep on protesting, even to the last drop of blood in us. We will keep on protesting.
Right,
when
so
government
saying, Mr.
takes
Upah,
wrong steps,
yes,
we have a more...
Are you saying
yes,
that they just invited him, he sat in their office, and they didn't ask him any question, he just sat in, slept overnight, and they released him?
No. If you are talking about the interrogation, certainly, that question should be directed to Mr. Ajaero. At the moment, I have not spoken with him since his release. That is the truth of the matter. But okay? So I cannot speak on issues which I'm not properly versed in. But clearly I want to tell you that preceding an interrogation, there is a procedure. There is the invitation, okay? And there will be the issues relating to an arrest, because it is when you are in violation of an invitation that possibly an arrest can be justified. But we have not had anyone, and you are trying to find out why this could have happened. And I'm telling you that we can only speculate, the motives of the government. Even if there was an interrogation to the point that this was linked to the end hunger protest, we keep on seeing it as a facade. Because I tell you, on July 22nd, we issued a statement clearly, stating clearly that we are not part of the protest. On the 23rd, we issued another unambiguous statement. On the 1st of August, we issued a clearer one. And everything points to the fact that we are not part of this protest. Perhaps, looking back now, perhaps we should have joined this protest. Because had we joined this protest, they would not even have had the audacity, in fact, to raid our headquarters in the first place. Had we joined this protest. Because they know our capability, they know our capacity, and they know they will never underrate our will. So we've got nothing to do with all of this. We've got nothing to do with subversion. We've got nothing to do with treasonable felony. We've got nothing to do with cybercrime, terrorism financing, and all that bullshit. I'm sorry for using a 4-letter word on air. But we've got nothing to do with that. And these guys know it. They know those who are involved, okay? They know those. They know them. But they are scared of going after them. They are scared of going to the bush. Every day we keep hearing them say, oh, we know those who are funding terrorism. Have they ever come out with any list? Have they ever gone after anybody? But they are coming after those who have passion for this country and whose passion for the integrity, for the sovereignty of Nigeria is not driven by money. It's not driven by humongous budgets. It's not driven by lies, but by patriotism. They are going after the innocent. And which reminds me of this story. A Kenyan academic was said to have been visited by the Kenyan secret police in those days. And he was scared. I said, look, but I have not said anything. I have not done anything. And the secret police now told him precisely the reason why we are here. We want to know what is in you. We want to know what you are thinking. That is the reason why we are here. So these guys are going after innocent people. They know those who are creating problems for this country. They know those behind terrorism financing. They know those who are killing our soldiers. They know those who are killing our policemen. Why don't they go after them? Right. Why are they going after Joe Ajaero? Why are they going after the unions? All right,
let me bring in Mr. Oshoma at this point. So I'd asked you a question earlier as to, is that it's DSS is secret police. Can they pick up people without the need to reveal the reasons for that?
Yeah, in answering your question, I will read section 45, subsection 1 and 2, subsection 1 of the Constitution. It says, nothing in section 38, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41 of this Constitution shall invalidate any law that is reasonably justified in a democratic society in the interest of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, or public health, or for the purpose of protecting the right and freedom of others. Mind you, section 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41, not section 36. And if you read section 36, subsection 6, every person who is charged with a criminal offense shall be entitled, first and foremost, it says, subsection 5 says, every person who is charged with a criminal offense shall be presumed to be innocent until he is proven guilty, provided that nothing in this section shall invalidate any law by reason only that the law imposes on such person the burden of proving particular facts. He goes further to say, every person who is charged with a criminal offense shall be entitled to be informed properly in the language that he understands and in detail of the nature of the offense, be given adequate time and facilities for the preparation of his defense, defend himself in person or by legal practitioners of his own choice. So when we talk about powers of government agencies, these powers are not held in abeyance. They derive authority from a law. And the ground norm, the Constitution is the ground norm. And it spells out how these powers shall be exercised. So when you feel, that's why I referred to this government when they were in opposition. And all of the issues they quarreled about, even while under the military rule, some of these persons went into exile because of actions such as this. And today, we expect them to be those who will uphold the positions of the law, who will say, well, we suffered the consequences of abuses, and so we will not want to allow it. But unfortunately, they are doing the same thing, exactly the same thing they condemn. People are hungry. You can no longer window dress hunger in Nigeria today because of government decisions, actions, and inactions. And people are consistently said, I was reading Dr. Abati's article on this day just now before we came in, and you can no longer pretend about this fact that it is the government decisions and policies that is creating this humongous crisis, to the extent that the Buhari administration that people once condemned, people are now looking at it as, oh, look, maybe we should have the good old days of Buhari. So when you have all of this and government is still spending money, borrowing and spending on ostentatious lifestyle, and then you're looking for people who petitions are written against, and these petitions unknown petitions, and there are no letters of invitation. You say, yes, we invited them. And the people are saying, look, to the best of their knowledge, there is no letter of invitation extended. Okay. So even Serap, quickly, assuming without considering that a letter of invitation was sent to Ajaero, there was a letter of invitation sent to Serap before their office was invaded. These are, so this pack of lies, we should desist from it and do things, as though we're really practicing democracy, even though, what we have is something very, very far from democracy.
Okay, I think it was Shotaniski that wrote the book, The Gulag Archipelago. Is Nigeria fast becoming the Gulag Archipelago with Stasi-like police maneuvers or Gestaporic-like police maneuvers, constantly bringing down the rights of people? When did treason become the reaction to protests in the same country that the APC carried placards, in fact, and said Jonathan must go? They even carried coffin, and Jonathan's mother was still alive. They put a goat, and they wrote Jonathan on the name of a goat, and they pulled the goat around. The same APC that shut down this nation for the first 12 days in January 2012 over subsidy removal that they are now still battling with, they're trying to remove. But Jonathan never told them they was treasonous. So the question is, are we still a democracy, or are we full-blown, like Shotaniski says, into a Gulag Archipelago?
Rufai, the way we are going, if care is not taken, thank God for media these days, unlike the media of the military era, where nobody was allowed to talk. The way we are going, if these things are not condemned and critically looked at and raised, we might descend to that level. Because I was reading about treason recently and why it is, largely it is the law of treason is heavily protected in America, that even the people that invaded the protesters that invaded the Congress now, yeah, during they were not charged for treason. Because they
were insurrectionists.
Yes, because they try as much as they can to remove these powers from a government so that there will be no abuse. So treason is a grave offense, and taking life of a citizen must be highly justified. That's why treason, betrayal of your country, it carries death penalty. But the way we bandy treason here Immediately after the election, my friend and brothers Keyamu started the treason trial. Oh, Peter Obi's claiming victory of the election is treasonable. Alhaji Lai Mohammed took it a notch higher. He went to America to inundate his audience with how statements by the opposition leaders were treasonable. I wonder if they sit down to read, deeply about, treason, or they just take the word and bandy it around. And then you arrest protesters. There are so many offenses you can charge them for. Even if you want to show force, to say, look, this government cannot lie low while you try to run rings around it, it is not treason because you can't substantiate those claims. And in some cases, you say somebody, you can say somebody, can be in Lagos and organize, protests using electronic media, cybercrime, in Kano and the rest. But you now charge people randomly, you pick them randomly and say treason for the flags in Kaduna, in Kano, and all of that. So what you're doing indirectly in trying to instill fear in people is demarketing the government, most especially since the government also...
Okay, we need to go. I know Benson Upah too would like to have his insight on this question I asked.
Yes.
We'll come back after this.
We'll come back to both of you. We still have Mr. Liberos Oshoma and Benson Upah from the NLC with us here on the morning show. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the interview continues. You're welcome back. It's the morning show here on Arise News. With us today, we have Liberos Oshoma, lawyer and human rights activist, and Benson Upah, head of Information Nigeria Labour Congress. Before you were asking Mr. Upah questions before we went on that.
Yes,
break.
Mr. Upah, I was saying, is this another gulag archipelago that Nigeria has become as we speak today? But I'm also going to put it in one dimension. And Mr. Upah, I'm going to blame also the NLC. I'm going to be very pointed by saying, good for you people, and I will say that advisedly. Because when the Nigerian people thought you were going to stand up and speak for them in the end ban and hunger governance protest, the NLC was nowhere to be found because they had gone to sing Three Gbosa for President Tinubu, which we saw on camera, which a lot of people felt was the essence of this hobnobbing with the president as the NLC. And you people had gone to take a 70,000 deal after you had taken out on a roller coaster ride of 250,000. Now, you now have the temerity to come out to us and say, Ajaero has been arrested. You now also have the temerity to come out to us and say the government betrayed you. That they said they will not increase fuel price before, if they paid 70,000, they will not increase fuel price. But is it that you people lack antecedents and understanding that a government that promised you guys in December that they were going to fix the refinery and today we never saw a refinery, and you went ahead to trust them? So the joke is on you people. And these are the sentiments of a lot of people that even good for NLC. What do you say to all these sentiments?
Are you done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Rufai, let me pointedly tell you this. That even if you thumb your nose at us, you are one of the victims. You are one of the very primary victims of government's obnoxious policies. Because I know, in spite of the hard work you've put up, you've not been properly remunerated. And that this latest surge in the pump price of PMS will take the little you have in your pocket. So you'll be thumbing the nose at yourself first and foremost. Now, coming to the end hunger protests, we are not joiners of protests. We are, in fact, we constitute an industry of protests. Let me just explain to you today. Had we been invited, had we been properly briefed to be part of this protest, we probably would have been part of it. But clearly, Nigerian Labour Congress has an image to protect, has an integrity. We can't just throw ourselves at something rolling out on the street. Ask those who organize this protest whether they reached out to the NLC or not, but that is not even the issue now. From day one, we said that Mr. President should sit and dialogue with these people. They have credible reasons, that they have our sympathy, that it was within their right to protest peacefully. We issued at least 3 statements in support of this protest, and we still stand with the protesters till tomorrow. In fact, even day one, the moment we saw the handling of the protest by the security agencies led by the police, we issued a statement condemning that immediately, said, stop this massacre. We went out and told the police that what has happened, what had happened to their years of training, to their experience, that they should stop using live ammunition on innocent citizens. They should rather use those ammunition on bandits. We did that. After the arrest and incarceration, we went on to say, look, release them unconditionally. Do not criminalize civil protests. We did all of that. So anybody today who says we were nonchalant, that person will be misrepresenting fact and history. But in any case, let this be made abundantly clear. Popular protests across the world today are not championed by the trade unions. They are championed by the citizens, angry citizens. The one that was happening in Nigeria, we had one in the UK. It was not led by the unions. Okay, we had the Kenyan example. We had other ones across the Western capitals. Okay,
real quickly,
please.
I want to come to Mr. Liboros.
Please, do not, and I repeat, do not try to cast aspersion on us, on NLC.
Okay. Would you
we
respect?
were not negligent.
Would you respect? I will cast aspersions as much as I can on the NLC, because I've also supported the NLC in their quest. But when the NLC goes wrong, as a barometer of society, we will cast aspersions. You quoted Martin Nemola, the clergyman, that famously said, and let me reprise that quote, when they came for the End Bad Governance protesters, NLC issued statement, they didn't join them. In fact, one of your Lagos State coordinators, Agnes Sessi, said, and I quote, people should not protest in Lagos, they should go to their village and go and protest. Now they have come for Ajaero. You are looking for our sympathy. That's the aspersion. If you want to react, you react to it. Mr. Liboros, you want to say some other things too?
Yes, Rufai, let's not, the 2012 protest.
And that is turning that poem upside down. I tell you, I have just told you, we issued a statement on the 22nd of July. We issued a statement on the 23rd of July. We issued a statement on the 1st of August. Go and read them. And after that, we have been consistent. In fact, to the extent that government believed we were just trying to, that we are trying to shy away from the truth.
Okay.
We were with these guys in spirit. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. How many protests have we organized in this country this year alone? How many of them were with us? But that is not even the issue. The issue is that we gave every moral support we could to this process, and we still remain with them. We are demanding that these people be released from detention unconditionally. We have issued at least 6 statements in connection with end hunger protests. What would you have us do, Mr. Erufai? What would you have us do? And you, where were you on that day?
Okay.
Where were you?
Okay. Probably, maybe when I start to
Where were you?
Maybe when I start to lead a trade union and I leave my job as a journalist, I'll tell you where I was on that day. Mr. Liboros Oshoma.
Like I said, the 2012 protests was organized by Joint Action Force. I was part of that protest. Labour, clearly, was not organizers of that protest, but Labour was part of the protest. I don't know if the JAF invited them, but they were part of the protest and they participated actively. Labour even went to Abuja to negotiate the fuel price increase, the Occupy Nigeria protest. So in this case, hunger. And you know, over time, yes, quickly, sorry, Doc. Over time, people look up to Labour to lead, you know, mass movement, to point the way. And I remember during Oshomole's time, people, when they call out for protest or sit at home, and then midnight they call it off, people like, Labour is actually speaking for their people and not for the generality of the people. Even a lot of people still believe that Labour should be the mouthpiece of the everyday person. So, but with this End Bad Governance protest, Labour issued press statement and still issuing press statement. So, just the same way, if Nigerians begin to issue press statement, a government that does not listen to even protests will listen to press releases. And so let's not begin to window dress the issue. Clearly, Labour missed the point. And I think that this should be an opportunity. And my friend and brother, Benson, already admitted, though, that they ought to have joined the protest. If they had known, they would have joined the protest. But what we are saying really is that, sorry, Doc, what I'm saying here is that with the way things are, there is no longer any room for, oh, this government is sincere. Gradually, the government is showing clearly they are not sincere, whether you join or not. And then, if you have ever been invited by DSS, you can be left in one big hall and nobody will talk to you for the whole day. They would first and foremost destabilize you psychologically. You can be left there. It had happened to me. You can be left there for the whole day and nobody will talk to you. You don't even know what is happening. People just come in and go until maybe midday or midnight. They just call you, ask you one or two questions, and if there is outcry for your release, they can ask you to go. So this idea of, oh, like they probably would have taken statement. For me, I think what government is trying to do is a show of force for actions that they are yet to take. And if the people, including Labour, decide to just be issuing statement, then we are done for.
Okay, let me come back to you, Comrade Benson Upah. Yesterday, we had a guest on this program, Dr. Sajo. Yeah, Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim Sajo, who said that there's no record, there is no evidence anywhere that the federal government reached an agreement with Labour that new national minimum wage will be 70,000, and that there was a promise by the government not to increase fuel price. And Labour is now saying that the people of Nigeria have been betrayed, that it was a trick that was played on them. You are an insider. You speak for the NLC. Is there any agreement to that effect? Although I made the point yesterday to Dr. Sajo that agreements don't need to be written down. Agreements can be made in good faith. But I just need a clarification from your side. Did Labour agree to 70,000 naira based on the understanding there will be no fuel price increase? And what would Labour do now to address the crisis in which we have found ourselves?
Thank you very much, Dr. Bati, for your question. We had actually issued a counter statement to the one by Mr. Abdulaziz, the senior special assistant to Mr. President on the print media. We had said in that statement that when Mr. President apprehended, the process and invited leaders of Labour to the villa, the question he put to them was this: I give you 1 hour. I pay 250,000 as you have demanded and increase the pump price of PMS to 1,500 or 2,000, or I pay 62,000. You have 1 hour to consult amongst yourselves. And the members of the team said, no, Mr. President. In fact, one of them did interject by way of saying, but you have removed subsidy, so which other increment are you talking about? To which Mr. President said, but people did not allow me to go the whole hog. In any case, to cut a long story short, instead of consulting within the premises of the villa, they asked to be given 1 week. And they were given to consult. And when they returned to the villa, they told Mr. President pointedly, we will not want an increment in the pump price of the PMS. They told him unambiguously. And this was the basis, one of the reasons why they took 70% as a deal. One of the reasons why. Because the leaders of labor knew the depth of pain that 1,500, 2,000 naira per liter of PMS would cost the ordinary Nigerian. And they say, no, we will not go that route, Mr. President. If today they are denying this, well, we just shake our head in wonder. But truth, unlike falsehood, truth lives forever. But we leave all of that to their conscience if they have any left. Okay, which also brings me to the contributions of my co-guests. Yes, I'm coming. Which also brings me to the contributions of my co-guests. I think they have been most illuminating, and they are deserving of commendation. I thought I should say this before this program winds up.
Okay, Comrade Upah, I summarize by saying that NLC is no longer standing on Tinubu's mandate. Because I recall, the excitement. On your mandate, we stand. But the song has changed.
Dr. Bati, no. Dr. Bati, don't rub it in. I told you, I had explained this to you previously. I told you that the Solidarity song is our own local anthem. For good or for bad, we sing that anthem. Okay. And I went on to explain that Mr. President acted well on that day by moving it from 62,000 to 70,000. Come on. I do not think he does things, it is not every day or all the time he does bad things. If he does anything good, it is not personal. We should commend him. Even this very moment, if he takes decisions which are favorable to the Nigerian people, we will cheer him. So on that occasion, we sang the Solidarity song in good faith. Okay? So please do not rub in, Dr. Bati. Don't.
Anyway, Liberals, let me come to you in the studio. What should be the next steps? As a lawyer, they will ask you questions. They say advice. So what advice will you give to all the parties concerned, including Serap?
The first advice would be to government. This idea, arm twisting and high-handedness, similar to the days of the military that they all ran away for and they want to forget, and telling us that the worst form of democracy is better than the best form of military rule, they should not allow Nigerians to remember those days. And if I were to advise Mr. President, I'll tell him candidly, people are hungry. It is hunger that is giving rise and vent to people to talk and abuse you and do whatever they want to do. If you address the price differentials, you address the lack of infrastructure in the system, people naturally, like the NSC had said, would naturally sing your praises and stand on your mandate, even those people that ordinarily would not want to stand with you. Food prices are not standing with him. The fuel price is not standing with him. The electricity prices are not standing with him. And so what is standing with you? The people ordinarily, even those who campaigned for you, who supported you before the election, now are ashamed to even speak out to say, yes, we'll stand with your mandate. And I'm twisting and arresting people. The security operatives, no matter what name they are called, should be civil. If you should serve arrest. They will serve reminders. EFCC will serve you reminder that we served the previous one. The SFU, police, will serve you a reminder, even though they will not tell you why they're inviting you, but they will serve you a reminder. So I see no reason why DSS should not be serving reminder. You just invade people's offices and they are looking for what's not there. You can serve the there are processes, there are civil processes in a democratic dispensation of arresting or inviting a suspect. And then, in most cases, you and I know that in other societies, before you are even arrested, they would have concluded their investigation. Yeah. So once you are arrested, you are confronted. EFCC does this thing. You are confronted with a barrage of documents to answer. And so they are already prepared to go to court. But here, you find the DSS and the police, they will arrest you and while they are fishing for evidence. At the end of the day, when the person is in detention, the evidence that they are looking for would have been destroyed. And so at the end of the day, it is just mere arrest and nothing is heard of it until the next arrest. And then the people will shout and say, what did he do? He didn't do anything. The last time you arrested him, there was nothing to show. But when EFCC arrests someone in some cases, nobody will shadow he's just been arrested, because when that person comes out, he will tell you, oh yes, it was an allegation of so and so, but I've been able to clear myself. So Serap, as we speak, also Serap should go to court. Or they are already in court. They have a number of cases. Last time I was at the Federal Court in Abuja, they had more than 10 cases. One lawyer had more than 10 files on many issues against the federal government. But I also my advice also will go to the judges. Now, people are saying that the last hope of the common man is now becoming the only hope of politicians, which is the court. And so the judges should dispense justice without favor, irrespective of whose horse is good. And someday, this judgment would be obeyed. This government can decide not to obey them today, but someday, a Pharaoh will come that does not know Moses, that will obey this judgment. So, court, I will not sit down here as a lawyer and say, let us, match force for force. No, I still believe in the windmill of justice, even though it grinds slowly, but we agree that surely it will.
Right. Very quick question to you, because I'm referring to the article by Dr. Bati in the back page of this Day Today. You referred to it earlier. Justice system. In that conversation he had, there was also the talk about the justice system, that, okay, let the people who've been arrested, who protested, go to court, and at least the justice system would be fair to them. Is there a trust deficit? How sure or how confident? I know you're a lawyer, it's a difficult question to ask.
No, it's not. It's not. There is a deficit, clear deficit. That's why I'm saying that the justice, when it is somehow very disheartening as a lawyer when some persons will tell you they would rather settle with the police for an abusive case than go to court. Because they tell you, the windmill of justice will grind slowly but surely. But we forget that justice delayed is justice denied. Okay. And also, in most cases, you find out that the appointment of judges also, recently I said that if we say the judiciary is not lucrative, how come we are turning it into a sexually transmitted organization where the father is living, he puts the inheritance, put the son or the wife.
Mind your language.
No,
which one is sexually transmitted?
No, Odili was a governor in Port Harcourt, the wife was a judge. Rose to Supreme Court.
Look for another phrase.
I'm copying from Dr. Abati. Yeah. And then Wike was a governor. The wife was a judge. Now she's at the Court of Appeal. And might eventually end up at Odili's wife. Children are also judges today. Okay. So there are so many instances. And yet we say the judiciary is not lucrative. Okay. So we need to truly appoint people to the bench that will serve. Sorry, Rufai.
Real quickly, I want to come to Mr. Benson Upah and give you a thumb up here. Mr. Benson Upah, how do you feel about the imbalance in our system? It's so easy to pick up Ajaero. I'm sure you're going to be excited about this. It's so easy to pick up Ajaero at the port. But people like Yaya Bello have not been picked up today.
Well, Mr. Rufai, thanks for this apt analogy. In fact, my co-guest spoke to that issue in another way. How so easy it has been for them to pick up innocent people and leaving bandits out every day. But that is a character of the police state. Picking the vulnerable, dealing with the weak, in a very, very, very ruthless and unacceptable manner. But this is not going to last, I tell you. And what actually amuses us is how quickly these people have forgotten their own history. I have on my phone here the video clips of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he then was at Ojota, the things he was saying. I still have his statement, which he called the Jonathan tax. But looking at that Jonathan tax and the Tinubu tax, which is more devilish, which is more evil? Looking at that. So for me, one of the worst things that can happen to a leader is when the leader chooses to forget his or her past, or when the leader elects to deify him or herself. That level, the leader becomes, how do they put it now? The leader becomes infallible, okay? Assumes the status of a god. That should not happen. That should not happen in this country.
Comrade?
These people, these characters, these people should go after the crooks, after the miscreants in our system, and leave us alone.
Comrade Benson,
and final words, sir, that we shall not be cowed, we will not be intimidated. That is the last chant. Thank you.
Okay. On that note, Comrade Benson, Head of Information Nigerian Labour Congress, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you, Liberous Oshoma, for joining us here in the studio.